Thanks so much for tuning into this week's Behind the Masterpiece. I'm your host, Brian Hersh, also happen to be the CEO for the Arts and Cultural Alliance of Sarasota County. Behind the Masterpiece is brought to you by our great friends at Visit Sarasota. You can always go to visitsarasota.com to get more information about visiting Sarasota or Behind the Masterpiece. But with me today are the co-founders of Creative Liberties. And of course, you can go to creativeliberties.net to find more information from our co-founders, Elizabeth Goodwill and Barbara Gerdeman. Elizabeth and Barbara, welcome to Behind the Masterpiece.
Brian?
Hey, Brian. How's it going?
Thank you.
It's great, and it's great to have you. So let's get into it. I've been fortunate that I've been to Creative Liberties, great space. So tell us, Elizabeth, what is Creative Liberties? And then Barbara, tell us, why did you launch this?
Yeah. Well, Creative Liberties it kind of started as just this brainchild that we wanted to work together. So we had been in a teeny tiny office at the Art Center Sarasota, where I was education director and Barb was my youth coordinator. And we knew, because it was a small space and we could work together, that definitely owning a business was something we wanted to do.
We didn't kill each other.
We didn't kill each other, yeah. We kind of just laughed it off and, continued moving on, and, no blood was shed. But so Creative Liberties originally we were going to be a consulting service. At the Art Center, we encountered a lot of artists and people who were, not only artists, but also had family who were artists or wives, husbands, that kind of thing. They wanted to know, what do I need to do to get my work into galleries? Or how do I show my work besides in a show? And is there a studio space? So these were like common questions that came up year after year after year. And we took that to heart. We remembered what everyone had said. We remembered what was lacking, and that we knew there was a void. So we were going to start as a consulting service, helping artists organize their portfolios, reach out to galleries, that kind of stuff. And then it just, we kind of turned into a studio providing space. We were lucky and had an opportunity to go from our studios that we were losing the building because of people were moving in. And the building owner was like, okay, you guys need to move out now, because it was just a short-term lease. And through Zero Empty Spaces, which is a great organization for those of us who are either in St. Pete or down towards Fort Lauderdale.
They have one in Fort Myers too, I think.
Yeah, they do have one in Fort Myers. Yeah. And Zero Empty Spaces was here in Sarasota for a little while. And then when that kind of went poof, we ended up finding a space in the Limelight District. And the Limelight District is literally the lime, apricot, right off of Fruitville, runs all the way to 12th. And it's a great little hole in the wall. We're right next to the bazaar on Apricot and Lime. And we opened studio spaces. Not only did we provide studio spaces for ourselves, because that was the first idea, but we provided studio spaces for other people. And not only did we end up having the spaces, but we built a community. So there's no doors on any of our studios. They're low rent. We mean the rent is as low as we can get it and still be able to pay our rent.
Our bills.
Yeah, our bills. And we work as a community. So it's a great time, especially right after coming out of the pandemic, to build up connections and to network and to have that support again. So
got it. Barbara, anything you want to add to that OG origin story?
There?
I'm sorry.
So, no, that's okay.
Yeah.
It kind of all goes together because the how we started and why we started all and what we're doing is all kind of one real answer, really.
Yeah.
So, I mean, to nutshell it, what we do is we offer affordable studio space for artists. We also have 15 feature artists who are local artists who do not have studio space, working space in these studios, but display and with the opportunity to sell their work, and then they volunteer here in the studio spaces. They're all supposed to be there at least one day a month in the studio, so they get a chance to interact with the public on the days that we're open and be around the other artists and furthering the community that Elizabeth was talking about. And then our 927 North Lime Avenue building also has a classroom space where we have that available for artists who would like to teach classes. We can host meetings there. We've had events there. We've had tour groups that have come in and they get a tour of the buildings and meet the artists, and then they sit down and do a project together. So it's a very versatile space. We really enjoy it.
Yeah.
And then we also have in the Rosemary District in the Arcos apartment complex, we have the gallery space there. It was formerly run as just a static gallery, but because our model now is working space for artists, we approached them and said, we'd love to do this with you as long as we're able to put working artists in the space. And they love the idea. So we offer it as a 2-month studio residency for artists to be able to come in, display, sell their work in the space. It's ideal for emerging artists who haven't really had that kind of opportunity before to be able to show their work and get to interact with the public. And we host a opening reception for them. And it turned into a really fun, cool thing. That's kind of unique because there's not really a lot of stuff around like that in Sarasota right now.
True.
Awesome. Cool. Elizabeth, tell us a little bit about, so if you're a space where you have artists and studios, what types of artists are there and how do you find them, or how do they find you?
Oh, that's the amazing thing. So, we thought we knew all of the artists.
Not even close.
In Sarasota. And, that all of them, that, at least we had seen them or heard of them or that kind of stuff. And no, it was just the tip of the iceberg. And our studio space has turned into, it is, we like to look at it as a revolving door. You're always part of the community, no matter if you've left or you're still there and working. But we also think of it as a jumping off point. It allows artists to gain that self-confidence, both in their own work, in feedback, in their creativity, and also in their sales and saleability, to go out and open their own galleries, to go and talk to the bigger name galleries, and like State of the Art in town, or any of the different ones that we have, to actually approach them and to see what happens, and to go that, and not feel that they're not ready for that. The artists there that we have, of course we have a lot of painters in the visual arts, but there are some 3-dimensional artists. You have jewelry artists. I myself am a fiber artist. So we have a lot of collage. Oh, and Judy Levine does amazing jewelry, and so does Ollie Bouchard. So it's like we want to have variety, but we're also not dictating like what is going to be in there. There is no filtering or anything like that. If people apply, they want a space and they want to display their art and sell their art and work here, we're happy to have them. We don't do a jury process. There's no kind of like judging, okay, well, is this good enough to be able to be in this building versus this piece or that piece? That's not our job. Our job is to be supportive and to provide that support to the community.
Creative Liberty is a welcoming, nurturing space to help the artists grow. So, Barbara, if you will, tell us, you jumped into it a little bit about how people can visit. So you have a variety of different on-ramps. Can you highlight that a little bit more of like, how can people show up and experience all the art that your artists are creating?
Absolutely. So we are open to the public Thursday, Friday, and Saturday from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. at the Limelight building. So that's 901B Apricot Avenue and 927 North Lime Avenue. And then our Rosemary location, that gallery space is open the same hours as their leasing office. So that's Monday through Friday from 9 to 6 p.m. And then Saturdays from 10 to 5. And then we also have different events that we have going on. We've alternated. So every other month we have what's called Limelight Artist Night, where both the 901 and the 927 buildings are open. And hopefully a good portion of the artists are there, including the feature artists. So the next opening coming up is actually an Arcos opening. We have 2 new artists that are going into the Arcos location for July and August, and their opening is scheduled for July 10th, and that's 5 to 7 p.m., and that's 340 Central Avenue. And then the next month we alternate. So the next month, August, will be our Limelight Artist Night, and that is from 4 to 7 p.m. And I happen to have the calendar here to just make sure I get the date right, because there's so many dates. That is August 7th. And then we also, we throw in other little things as they come along.
Family Art Day.
Oh, we have Family Art Day. That is a really cool program. It's a fully funded program thanks to the Johnson Singer Foundation. And we offer our classroom space to families to come in every 4th Saturday, with the exception of like some holidays when we have to change the Saturday for holidays. But the families can come in from 9:30 a.m. to noon and make art. They have a project. Every project is different. The project's different every month. We have a local artist who comes in and teaches the class. It's also, we mix up the teachers and give the opportunity to artists who would like to teach. It is a paid gig for them, which is really nice. We provide all the supplies, all of that stuff, and it's free for the families. So it's really important to us to give that to our community, to offer a space where families can come in, be together, be creative in a creative space, surrounded by other creative people, and just have a nice time and not all sit around the table staring at all phones all the time,
And the definition of family in, this day and age or any is loose. So
Yes.
it could be, we've had 2 sisters come in, or friends who came in and worked together, or,
Exactly.
just
grandparents and
husband and wife who came, and we're like,
we've had just couples just come in by themselves together, like no kids, and just come in and hang out, it's date time
for all ages, intergenerational.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
Lovely. Good stuff. Creative Liberties, still that welcoming space. So we talked a little bit about your backgrounds, and I'd love to know a little bit more. Elizabeth, you were saying fiber artist, and Barbara, I'd love to hear a little bit more too. But Elizabeth, start with fiber artist. There are some people who would be like, what is that? What's that mean?
She works with Metamucil. No, just kidding. I'm just kidding.
In addition to Metamucil, you might be...
Yes, I need so much fiber in my life. I wonder if wool works in that way.
I don't know.
But yeah, so no, by fiber artist, it's kind of a broad term, just like mixed media artist.
Sure.
But I started off as a printmaker. So I have my MFA, which is Master of Fine Arts in printmaking, and fiber. But I've since gone from working in paper and then making books to when sewing is all involved in those things, and then going into learning how to spin. I learned how to knit when I was a kid, and sew and everything like that. And I'm now making sculptures that involve both weaving and also which is weaving of my own yarn that I spun. So it's pretty kind of it's crazy. I went from having to use a press and needing all of these tools to having a more minimal thing. I still need a lot of tools, but but fiber art I find is a way that I can express myself. So I can the spinning, I can paint with the yarn. Literally, I'm tossing the different yarn, the different wools in, and allowing myself to choose which colors go where. I can work with textures. I can do an impasto look on something just as well as a painter, but with fiber. And I think that it meets both ends of I love 2-dimensional work and I love 3-dimensional work, and is a good balance. Yeah. It's kind of funny that I'm working in wool in Florida, but but luckily most of my pieces are not wearables. They're wall art, so I'm keeping walls warm instead of myself. It is. Cinder block installation. That's what I'm doing.
Makes sense. It makes sense in Florida. No, perfect.
But if you want to, we see what our work looks like. We actually have a show up through July 18th at the Unitarian Universalist Church at the Lexow Gallery. And so we'll be there on just about every Sunday showing our work and talking about it and that kind of stuff. So hopefully you guys stop by. And we also have an opening tonight. If this goes live today, that would be the 20th.
Awesome. Barbara, tell us about your background. What sort of discipline do you have then in the art world?
Yeah, so my background, I actually have my degree in advertising design because I got some really bad advice from a high school guidance counselor who told me that if I wanted to be an artist, if artists don't make a living, fine artists don't make a living. And then so I needed to study commercial art because that's how artists made a living. So that's what I did. And I worked in the field for about 1.5 years and hated it and left and started freelancing, which took me to a lot of really cool things. Painting. I painted the logo on the back of an airplane. I painted names on the backs of boats. I painted souvenir seashells. I made handmade invitations. So now where I've landed is that I do mixed media work. My latest series of paintings are paintings that are inspired by songs that I love because I really enjoy music, but I have zero musical ability. So this is my way to honor the music that I love. So the pieces are in celebration of those songs, and they actually play 30 seconds of the song that inspires them with a little magic push button that plays the song. Yes, I have one.
So the piece that she's bringing is her latest one that she just made, and it was part of a challenge.
Oh.
So it was for a round show that we all the artists who participated got these nice round boards and had to create something. So pizza came to mind. It has a little push button in the pepperoni here. There's a push button, and it plays the song. Hey. I won't play the whole thing, but it plays 30 seconds. So
right.
Series of these paintings. And then I also do photography. So what's actually at the Lexow Gallery right now are photographs that I took. I went on a photo expedition that with a friend of mine that was really cool. It was all in Georgia. We went to abandoned locations in Georgia, which is really cool because I like things that are really crusty and interesting. I find the textures really, really cool. And, the stories behind the place is really cool. So all of the photos that I have in the Lexow show are photos that I took from that trip. So I like to photograph things like that, things that are interesting, more kind of macro photography. My husband and I also travel a lot. So I do a lot of travel photography, street photography, that sort of thing. So those are the things that I've been focusing on lately.
Yep.
Yeah, amazing. Sounds great. Very cool things. Well, we have been speaking with Elizabeth Goodwill and Barbara Gerdeman of Creative Liberties. To get more information, find all those different artists and all those different disciplines and events, you can always go to creativeliberties.net. If you want to hear all of the amazing podcasts for Visit Sarasota of Behind the Masterpiece, you can go to visitsarasota.com. I'm your host, Brian Hersh from the Arts and Cultural Alliance. Elizabeth Goodwill and Barbara Gerdeman, thank you for being on Behind the Masterpiece.
Thank you so much,
welcome.
Brian.
Pleasure.
It's great to have you.
It's always joyful to work with you.
Pleasure. All right. Until next time, you're listening to Behind the Masterpiece. Take care. Thanks for listening to this episode of Behind the Masterpiece, brought to you by Visit Sarasota County. For more and to hear this podcast, go to visitsarasota.com.